macros can be split into multiple lines with a backslash present at end of each line. So they are split into multiple lines also with help of a backslash. So example, hash define edge line for I is equal to 0, I is less than 79, I plus plus. Printf %c comma 196 hash define v line xy slash backslash 90. Go to xy x comma y printf uh, %c 179. Now main. So main is in main function we are writing integer I y. So I and y are integer. Now clear screen. Go to xy 1 comma 12 edge line for y is equal to 1, y is less than 25, y plus plus v line 39 comma y. So this is a program for drawing vertical and horizontal lines on screen. If for any reason you are unable to debug a macro, then you should view the expanded code of the program to see how the macros are getting expanded. So if you are unable to debug a macro, then you should view expanded code of program. If your source code is present in the file pr1.c, then the expanded source code would be stored in pr1.i. You need to generate this file at the command prompt by saying cpp pr1.c. Here CPP stands for C preprocessor. It generates the expanded source code and stores it in the file called pr1.i. Note that the file pr1.i gets generated in c/tc/bin directory. So this file is stored in a certain directory by default. Now macros versus functions. In a macro call, the preprocessor replaces the macro template with its macro expansion in a stupid, unthinking, literal way. As against this, in a function call, the control is passed to a function. So against this, in a function call, the control is passed through a function. This brings us to a question when it is best to use macros with arguments and when it is better to use as a function. Usually macros make the program run faster but increases program size, whereas functions make program smaller and compact. So macros makes program run faster and increases program size, but the functions make program smaller and compact. If we use a macro 100 times in a program, the macro expansion goes into our source code at 100 different places. So the macro expansion goes in our source code at 100 different places if we are using macro 100 times. The moral of the story is if uh, if the macro is simple and sweet, like in our example, it makes nice shorthand and avoids the overheads associated with function calls. So if macro is simple and sweet, then uh, then it avoids overhead associated with function calls.